The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Youmans.
It's a wonderful Wednesday edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, in the SWBC studios. It is now week 15 of the NFL season as the Cowboys get ready to take on the Carolina Panthers coming up on Sunday at noon. Woo! We've got Patrik No C. Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Isaiah Stanback. With Chris Beam in the back, I'm Kyle Youmans, whole cast and crew ready for you today to rock. Isaiah, I thought you were back tomorrow.
I want to rock.
Yeah.
All night long. Yeah. No, Kyle's in and out, man. One-day trip, baby.
One-day trip this week?
Yeah, next week
How
is 2
was
days.
it? I saw your day in the life on your
You like
story.
that?
It was nice.
I try to do that from time to time, you know?
Just how you're chasing checks.
Bro.
Bag boy.
Listen, man.
Bag boy.
Listen. Y'all three got salaries,
Oh,
man. I got to get that, dude. I'm on the contract life. You know what I mean?
I'm all about it, man. That's great. I love that for you.
No, it was a good time, man. I wish I could have stayed and watched the game in person, but, you know, duty called, so I was able to do the pregame show, took care of my responsibilities with the Cowboys, hopped on the plane, went down, and it was a short night. It was a very short night, but got up and did TV, and now I'm back with my fellas.
There you go.
You didn't want to watch this game, man. I'm telling you.
I did. I watched all of it. Watched every minute of it.
Did you watch it on the plane?
I did, absolutely.
You got that Wi-Fi?
Yeah, and I almost took out a couple flight attendants because of my body language at the time. I had the bones fossil, you know, arms out, hands overhead. I had all that stuff going on, and I definitely almost hit the person that was sitting next to me who was sound asleep. And I had all this stuff. I was watching it, and I was all the things. Like legit, if there was a hidden camera on me, I wish there was, because you guys would have seen like I was doing all of it on the plane.
Were you in coach or were you in first class?
No, they take care of me.
Okay.
They take care of me.
Being petty.
I did not pay. It was a gift. It was a gift.
Petty Tendergrass.
For those that don't remember, we've got history when it comes to that.
That's why they call my Isaiah first class. Stand back.
So
He's not a standby.
you're not a standby guy.
Yeah.
First on, first off.
You're darn right.
Legroom Jones. Legroom Jones is what they call him.
Legroom standback. So, what did you think of the special teams miscue? I mean,
It's just that's first of all, amazing call by Bones Fossil.
Yep.
Okay.
We talked about that
amazing
yesterday.
execution by the blocking portion of the
Nick
guys that
Vigil.
are on the line of scrimmage responsible for creating the mismatches and the confusion. Nick Vigil doing a great job of getting both hands down, getting it blocked, avoiding the kicker, avoiding the punter in the process as a straight veteran. You don't see that out of young guys a lot of times. And then you just have to be smart. You just have to be smart. I don't like pointing out guys, but these are conversations that you have. If anybody who's questioning Bones Fossil's decision, if anybody's questioning, whether or not Bones Fossil teaches his guys, every person who is a specialist understands that once you block a punt, unless that thing is bouncing right in front of you and you are on the opposing side right by the punter and you can pick it up and scoop and score, you get the heck away. It's called Peter. I don't know where it originated, but as soon as you hear that thump, you look around, you find the ball. It's Peter. Get the heck away.
You know where it originated.
Run to the doggone second level of AT&T Stadium. Go sit down next to somebody, grab a little bite of popcorn, take a little sippy sip, and watch the ball come to a halt. And then watch your offense go back out there and get the ball and go win the ball game. That's how you go about your business. So it was great up until that point.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because instinctively, you want to be the one to grab the ball and go do something with it. That's instinct. That's just your competitive nature.
Yeah.
So I don't fault anybody for instinctively wanting to go make a play. The logic has to kick in.
Correct. The coaching has to.
The coaching has to come in. There has to be the little Bones Fossil sitting on your shoulder, throwing his arms up in the air and saying, Peter, 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 get the heck away. Because it's literally natural for you to go to the ball, but so you will see it. You guys can go look at all the punts, all the blocks from this year. And I guarantee you, you will see people instinctually go to the ball and then they pull back.
Yeah.
It's natural. So I'm not faulting the natural instinct. I am faulting the disregard of the coaching element that should have been coming through your head at that point in time to get the heck away. And because of that, it's unfortunate, but that particular play ended up being the thing that lost you the game. There was an accumulation of other plays that could have taken place throughout the game, could have done things better, could have executed better, could have had less penalties, all the things that contribute to a loss. But in that moment, that was too big of a moment to not be fully aware of what the severity of that situation was.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday about Amani Owawarie and what his thought process was going into it. And one of our callers yesterday, Talkin Tuesday, said that he felt like it was a selfish move. I don't think he used the word selfish, but he said it was a move where it's like, you can't be the hero in that moment and try and take it and do something. He was falling on top of the ball, in my opinion. So I think it's more so what you're talking about. It's instinct. It's see ball, get ball, let me recover it. He's not thinking, I'm going to pick this up and go take it back.
This is not the first time we've seen it.
Yeah.
And I want people to remember that. And it's the first time you've seen it in special teams.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen O-linemen this year try to pick the ball up?
Terrence Steele.
We've seen it twice, right?
Playing hero ball.
Steele and Guyton, right?
Yeah.
Both of them this year, people forget this, right? Let me help you guys recollect. Okay, those guys are instinctually, you're supposed to fall on the ball.
Yeah.
I take that back. Instinctually, they want to get the ball and run.
Yep.
Right? Logically, they're supposed to fall on the ball. Remember who you are. Remember what your position is. Fall on the ball. The probability of you scooping and scoring is probably very low.
Yeah.
So fall on the ball. But we've seen instinct say what?
Get it and
Get
run.
the ball and run.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, look at just a couple of weeks ago in Washington, Wanye Thomas. He picks up that onside kick and takes it home for the touchdown.
In that moment, you fall on
Yeah.
it. And
You fall on the ball, you end the game.
Situational
Instinct
football.
says, I'm going to make a play.
Yeah.
Right?
Instinct says, I'm back at. I'm
And he had
10
clear
years old,
skies.
Pop Warner,
You don't
Crouch
think
Terry.
about all the what ifs, right? Because understand this, and that's why I say I don't want to come out too hard on him because he knows, right?
Yeah.
Trust me, he's beating the crap out of himself right now mentally. If anything, he needs support at this time.
You saw him after the game. It was
Yeah, I mean,
rough.
yeah,
It was rough.
yeah.
And
And trust me,
it's a good one for stepping in front of that.
and the thing is, people need to understand when you are the one responsible for losing the game for your team, you need all the support in the world because people aren't talking to you. You can feel the energy. You already know, right? You're running through that same play thousands of times in your head. What I should have done differently. What I could have done better. Why did I do that? Trust me, he is beating himself up. So we don't need to beat him up. But the coaching element needs to be continually ran over because I know it's been communicated. Right? I know it's been communicated. And for that to have happened at that moment is just really unfortunate.
You don't react that way as a team. I mean, the sideline reacting the way that they did, the Nick Vigil from halfway across the field with his hands over his head. You don't react
Michael
that
Parsons
way
in tears.
if it had not been communicated. And that's where a lot of people might say, well, why didn't they coach him up better?
Oh, they did.
They did. These guys know the fundamentals of all of that.
Can I give you an example? A really quick
Absolutely.
example.
Yeah.
So we were playing, I think it was a Monday night game, maybe against Philadelphia back in the day, and I was a kick returner.
Ew.
And it was at the time, it was myself and it was Felix Jones, who was back there returning kicks. And they didn't want to kick me the ball. I had maybe a handful of good returns leading up to that game. So we ended up doing this thing where we would interchange and we would switch, right, based upon the approach of David Akers. Try to force their hands. So I ended up declaring myself, and David Akers kicked me a knuckleball. A freaking knuckleball. Now, this thing is coming at you, 60 yards away, and it's freaking going like this, right? Anybody ever seen a knuckleball before?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. He made it happen with a football. So the ball's coming at me, right? I step outside the end zone, I come to the ball, and it dives out. It literally right as I go grab it, it freaking just
curve.
Bro, it was nasty.
12-6.
Freaking nasty.
12-6
So it
curveball.
hits my hand and goes in the end zone. Instinctually, what do?
Pick it up.
Pick it up. I touch the ball.
Yeah.
I touch the ball outside the end zone.
now.
It's hot.
It's hot.
I got to get it. Right? I got to get it, and I got to get it. I got to hurry up. I go back in the end zone, grab the ball, and I got to come out. I got to try to make something happen.
Yeah.
Logically, right? I didn't understand this at the time, right? Coach had went over it back in training camp, right? But logically, I should have taken a knee because the momentum of the ball carried into the end zone. But instinctively, I went back, grabbed the ball, and I came back out, and I got tackled like on the 2-yard line. Next play, Tony Romo gets strip sacked for a touchdown.
Butterfly effect.
I was beating the crap out of myself. I was beating myself down, right? Because I was the one responsible for that, right? But instincts kicked in, and all logic went out the window because you go into panic mode.
Right.
I went into panic mode. I'm like, shh. So to this day, I run this play over and over and over. So understand what he's going through, and I feel him, right? I feel him. It's just one of those things. And you just hope that when you have those moments that they don't have these results. And unfortunately, this decision did.
No, that's a great example. It really is. And there are very few people that understand it the way that people would if you've gone through that scenario.
If you're thinking about it all these years later.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine what year feels was like for him in this moment.
Bro, that was my second year in the league. Old AT&T Stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, not old AT&T. That was it.
Texas
Stadium.
Yeah.
You know, the roof open at all time. I mean, it's... Bro, and I mean, that was a big time. Philly was in town. I mean, it was old school Philly. Brian Dawkins, Philly.
You said it was Monday night, too?
I think it was Monday night games. I mean, everybody and their mom was watching. Monday night, Sunday night, it was one of the two.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Very similar. Very similar.
You're like, that's on me. That's
as a returner, everybody's watching who?
You.
Yep.
There was nowhere else for anybody to look.
Nope.
All eyes.
Yeah. You and the ball.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, man. That's tough. But, yeah, we talked about it. Coaching moments, learning moments. You can't reverse it. You're going to replay it forever, but you can't change it.
And you kind of have to give it up for AO in earlier moments this season. I mean, he was the one to ice the Giants win for us when he picked off Daniel Jones in the final seconds of the game. He's had some really good plays. It's not like this guy is not worth playing on the field.
He was on the same wavelength, at least for me, as a guy like Josh Butler.
He was Josh Butler this season before Josh Butler became Josh Butler.
Correct. So
he's made contributions to your team
in a
this
big
year.
way where
100%.
you didn't anticipate it. You pick him up off of the street as a free agent.
Yep.
He comes in and contributes, and that's all you can ask out of those guys like that. And he's making an effort, trying to do what he can. But like you said, I think it's the battle between logic and instincts. That's what you just outlined. Yep. And in this point, instincts won out. He's trying to see ball, get ball, hop on top of it, secure possession because he doesn't know what happened outside of that. You got to be better about it, and that's the only thing you can learn about.
That's called football, man. The highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows.
Yeah. And you see it often. It obviously is not always highlighted as much as this one was, but we see holding calls all the time. We're like, come on, man, you got to let him go. Well, the dog in me says no.
Right.
Run this dude into the ground. The logic says, hey, once he gets leverage on me, I got to let him go.
Right.
So, I mean, you see it all the time. It just doesn't get as much attention as this.
Well, one of the main things is, and you can attest to this, Isaiah, definitely as a former pro player, being a professional NFL player, or being a professional, because that's redundant, being a professional player in any sport, but we're talking about the NFL, you have to balance the preparation and the coaching that's being instilled in you versus your fight or flight in the moment. And that's all it ever is on any given snap.
And that's what makes most of these players.
Right, a holding call is mono versus mano, man versus man. You want to beat me, I don't want to beat you. So in that phone booth,
letting you go
in that phone booth, outwardly, you know there's a play going on, but it's you versus this guy. And it might result in a holding call. You might get a little too aggressive. You might go full Brock Hoffman.
I'm not going to concede that you beat me in the middle of a, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so those types of situations, it's situational football.
Yeah, very much so.
That is when it's most important.
Which is why some coaches, and I don't know what happens on that side of the building, but I know that Bones Foss was one of the most respected coaches in the league. And I think even if I was reading up, Mr. Jones even went in there and questioned Bones Foss.
He did. But he asked him why. What was the play call?
Explain to me
and he
exactly what happened.
He came back around. I was like, I don't fault him. Great
call,
great execution. All the stuff was right. That's why some coaches spend so much time on situational football. And I go back to a lot of times. I know people hate it. If you will. Yeah, I know people hate when I go back and talk about my time in New England, but that was the time where there was an emphasis on situational football. We spent hours every day walking through situational football. Coach Belichick would bring up situations from the doggone 70s, film out that was like literal film. You know what I'm saying? Not digital, but actual film. And we would go over it. And back in this game, this was the situation, and this we're going to go over in practice today. Because when those moments present themselves, that's the first thing that comes in your head. Right? And it tries to And they do that to try to limit the instinctual response.
To counteract the fight.
Because you're a competitor. You are a competitor, and the coaches understand that as a competitor, it is naturally and ordainedly in you to react the way that has made you a professional. So I have to literally teach you so much situational ball that it overthrows your instincts, which have made you a professional athlete.
That's extremely insightful from the future coach of the University of North Carolina Tar Heels, Bill Belichick.
And his son.
Yeah. Let's get into some news and notes quickly before we get into some other previews this week.
Indeed. So we're still waiting to hear an update on Cooper Beebe as far as the concussion is concerned. But like I said yesterday, short week going into Carolina. I personally am not penciling him in for this game. I think the starting lineup, we'll see what left tackle looks like with Tyler Guyton. But Tyler Guyton / Chuma Edoga, and then Tyler Smith, Brock Hoffman, TJ Bass, and Terrence Steele. I think that's give or take your starting 5 or 6 rotation there. We'll see if he can clear protocol in time, but I'm not confident that he can. And Overshown, we got the confirmation after yesterday's episode that Overshown has torn ACL, MCL, PCL. So that's the devastating news, is that he will, as we expected, he's going to have surgery.
Yep.
His season is over, but there is a solid likelihood that we may not see him on the field next season, or next year, because calendar year 2025. Sure. Maybe Cowboys make a playoff run of some sort. When you see him in January of 2026, which is still technically next season, but it's a long journey. Don't pencil him in for that. Just let him get his knee together, heal up. Now, that's the bad news, that it's a dark cloud over 2025 for him.
Before you go on, like, prayers up.
I was going to keep to him, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Prayers up to Demo. And if anybody questions how tough some of these dudes are, this dude got up and it was assisted, but walked off the field.
Yeah.
Did.
Last preseason, torn ACL.
Walked off.
It was a torn ACL and MCL last year in his left knee, correct?
Yeah, that was left knee.
This is PCL, MCL, and ACL in the right knee. So this is a worse.
This is with the trifecta. Yeah.
This is the worst injury he's had throughout his career. And it's in the
However,
opposite knee.
And yet,
as what it was previously.
I was going to say, and yet, it's not the
awesome.
worst case scenario. Meniscus, no meniscus damage.
That's good.
No nerve damage.
That's good.
So
That's really good, actually.
With no nerve damage, this is much less. I know a lot of fans were wondering if this is career threatening. With no nerve damage, he'll be back.
He's a dog.
He'll be back. And I was citing this reference yesterday on Twitter. Nick Chubb. Okay?
Yeah.
Nick Chubb. And people are like, well, Nick Chubb doesn't look like the prime Nick Chubb. Well, first of all, he's only been back a month.
Yeah,
all right, so there's that.
Limited
but
time.
keep in mind who's giving you the reference, right? So UGA. I'm a Georgia guy, everybody knows. In 2015, now I say that because in 2015, where was Nick Chubb? He was in Athens with my dogs. 2015, he suffered his first devastating knee injury. Questions about would he be able to get back to peak form at the NFL level? Should people use a high pick on him? Whatever the case may be. Cleveland Browns use a high pick. Guess what they get? They get an all-pro player. He turns all-pro after that devastating knee injury. So I say that to say, forward that to a guy like DeMarvion Overshown, who, much like Nick Chubb we're talking about, certain guys are just different physically, right? I am 100% confident that barring some type of horrendous setback, knock on wood, that it doesn't happen, DeMarvion Overshown will be back in a Cowboys uniform. I believe that he will get back to peak form. Give him a little bit of grace when he gets back as far as timeline is concerned. But he'll be back. His mental fortitude is unmatched. His faith is rock solid, and as far as work ethic is concerned, you're hard pressed to find a guy who will attack this rehab as hard as he will. So, some obviously bad news, but good news: no nerve damage, no meniscus damage. He just needs to get the 3 ligaments repaired surgically and get to work, and he will.
Yeah. Good news there. Any other news and notes?
Cooper Rush is going to start again. He's been officially named the starter against the Carolina Panthers. And honestly, in listening to Mike McCarthy and listening to Jerry Jones on 105.3 The Fan, it doesn't sound like the Cowboys are going to play the Trey Lance card at starter unless they're mathematically eliminated. So Panthers might do him a favor. We'll see.
Just a reminder, both Cooper Rush and Trey Lance are on the last year of their contract.
That is correct. They're both free agents, and Trey Lance is actually a higher cap hit this year. He's being paid more than Cooper Rush.
He's being paid the same amount as Cooper Rush's entire contract.
That is correct.
$5 million.
Just over 5 point. Just over 5.
Cooper Rush's two-year contract is what Trey Lance is receiving in salary this year.
Yeah, you also didn't give up a pick to acquire Cooper Rush,
which is even more questioning. As never mind.
So, all right. Panthers.
The Panthers. It is a Wednesday, so we're going to preview the Cowboys defense and their matchup with Bryce Young and the Panthers when we come back with more Talking Cowboys right after this. If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this portion of the show is brought to you by Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Quaker Oats, trusted since 1877.
Buy your oats on the internet using the code in the corner. The Quaker code in the corner.
There you go.
Sick.
We're back, baby.
I just had mine.
Did you?
Yours?
I did not this morning. No, did not this morning. I know. I'm missing out. I had them yesterday, though. Had him yesterday.
Oh, Kyle.
I know.
You're hilarious.
I know. Just a busy guy. All right. Cowboys defensive preview against Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers.
Not as easy as people think.
Yeah, Josh, when you look at this matchup, I know you watched the film, and you're looking at Bryce Young, who all of a sudden looks like a capable franchise quarterback.
He does.
And then you've got some weapons around him that are playing pretty decent after being banged up at different points this year.
Absolutely. Well, you look at last week, and they almost got him, man. They almost got the Philadelphia
They will
Eagles.
call you almost.
I know. They almost got him. Bryce Young, he ranks 4th in red zone pass percentage. Did you guys know that?
Is that good?
That's pretty darn good for
good.
a team that started very terribly this
You said 4th.
And a guy
He's
who
fourth.
got benched.
Out of 32?
guy who was benched out of 32. He ranks 4th. And do you guys know that the Dallas defense is ranked last in red zone touchdown percentage?
Not good, Bob.
I don't like what you're saying.
Not good for us. However,
I don't know.
guys, they got a running back. His name is Chuba Hubbard.
How about Chuba?
This dude is also very, very good.
He's a former Cowboy. Oklahoma State Cowboy.
Oklahoma State Cowboy. I was like, what are you talking about?
What
are you talking about?
Everybody that's listening probably was like, "You idiot!" And like, oh wait, never mind.
I mean, I only consider him good if he had 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he does have 1,000 yards.
Oh,
he was
on 215 attempts, 8 touchdowns already. Great vision. He's patient. He finished runs. He's a north and south guy with deceptive speed, dude. I am not looking forward to seeing Chuba.
They
Hubbard
lost his
on the
backup
field.
though.
They did lose his
for
backup,
them,
but this guy can carry the rock, and he can carry it a lot.
A lot.
So here's where I am on that. So first of all, yes, goes without saying, Chuba Hubbard, he can make some waves. When the Cowboys went to Bank of America Stadium last year, and they started kind of playing with their food, so to speak. And that Cowboys team, you could use that term on, not this Cowboys team.
No, different team.
But they were playing with their food, and they almost found out the hard way. Like, you don't do that. Because Chuba Hubbard, yeah, I almost went there.
FAF?
FAFO. Chuba Hubbard was actually, tearing off some yardage against him last year. So they're familiar with what Hubbard can do.
And it's our defense is as good as they were last year, right?
No. But but I will say this, which great segue. The run defense has definitely taken steps forward.
It has taken steps in the right direction.
They shut down the rushing attack completely of the Cincinnati Bengals. And I know people say, well, the Bengals, they wanted to kind of throw the ball, not as much as the Cowboys were forcing them to throw the ball over the course of the first 3.5 quarters. They really put the Bengals in a bind and made them one-dimensional. But then the problem, once they made them one-dimensional, and Carol will nod because we talked about this, Isaiah, we talked about this, Josh, we talked about this, it was more than simply pressuring Joe Burrow and knocking him off the spot because he can reset. You needed to get hands on him and take him down. So the run defense was there. The pressure was there. They just couldn't get the sacks. Mm-hmm. I say that to say this run defense might actually be – I just remembered Demo is gone.
Yeah.
So the run defense prior to losing DeMarvion Overshown, I could argue was better than last year's run defense, whereas the secondary play was better last year than this year. But now that it just hit me again that Demo's not on the field, now you're going to have some real questions about – is that run defense is going to take a step back or not?
But I think in the later half of the last game, you did see enough from Maris Liufau to give you a chance in that aspect. He's not Demo. There's no other player on this defense that is Demo. Yeah. But I think you have a chance, like you said, to continue the progress that the run defense has had so far this season. Over the last second half of the season.
They're going to have to play Damone.
Well, they're going to have to play Damone.
But
he can't be a healthy scratch this week.
He's being scratched for... Yeah. Anyways, the Damone last time he was on the field, he was impactful.
Yeah,
he was impactful. So yes, you're going to miss Demo.
Well, and he has a ton of experience too. Yep. Now at this point in his career, he has a bunch of snaps for this early on.
For sure.
So yeah, I feel confident with Damone Clark stepping in. Is he DeMarvion Overshown?
No, nobody is.
He's
not.
Nobody. And I think you're right. Maris Liufau is that guy who's going to have to step up in that.
And he was giving you a lot. I mean, he sacked Joe Burrow.
Something that Micah
Person did not do.
He's quick.
At a critical junction, he sacked
He did.
Burrow.
He did.
Quick.
Yeah.
That would have helped give you that game if what happened after didn't happen.
If there's any silver lining to the Demo injury, it is the fact that you're going to see Maris Liufau on the field more, and he will have the chances. He will have those chances.
Who is the most dangerous weapon on the Carolina Panthers offense?
Outside of Young? Or including Young?
Including Young?
Outside of
right now
Hubbard?
is Bryce.
Right now.
For me, right now is Bryce.
I think it's Bryce Young, but I would throw Adam Thielen into the mix too.
Okay.
He was really good last week.
Yeah.
He was big last week. He was part of the reason why they gave Philadelphia the fits. Philadelphia couldn't cover him.
So you're going with Bryce.
I'm going Bryce.
I'm going to go with Bryce.
You're going with Bryce?
Because if Bryce's confidence isn't where it is right now, then Thielen is not a factor.
Agreed. Completely. I'm starting with
Chuba Hubbard.
quarterback.
You going Chuba?
I'm going Chuba.
I'm going with David Canales.
Oh, the coach.
A little coaching action.
Yeah.
Little curveball.
Yeah. He's a dude.
Yeah.
He's a dude. I know
Do
firsthand.
you like his scheme?
He was my assistant coach when I was in Seattle briefly.
Yeah.
And I worked with him
forgot you
thoroughly.
knew him.
I worked with him thoroughly
You were
every day.
very adamant before he was hired.
He was ever
going all the way back to before the offseason happened, and Isaiah was looking at these guys that are possible coaching candidates. He said, wherever Canales ends up, I forgot about this entirely. You said it was going to be a huge thing, and what you said, you needed a running back, and you needed a young quarterback to coach up.
Receipts.
Oh, well, there you go. Bro, you got two guys.
He's
exactly
a freaking dude. You want to talk about somebody who was passionate.
It's almost like Isaiah's good at what he does.
Kinda.
He's got some connections.
My world traveling helped me out. God was like, you're going to go here. It's going to pay off later. Trust me.
Don't worry. You got it, dude.
David Canales is a student of the game. Like a genuine student of the game. He loves the game of football. He every aspect of it. He likes creating concepts. He's a dog. And when I'm watching the film of the Panthers, I can't help. I know they're about to play the Cowboys, but I can't help but smile and just laugh because I'm like, these concepts that he's creating are absolutely insane. And once Bryce Young is throwing the ball on time. And once he has receivers that can make plays,
Give me an example. Give me an example of one of these concepts.
Look at how open Leggett was in that that touchdown.
A lot of guys
would be touchdown, would be game-winning touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Look at that play design and tell me that. I mean, like you said, the evidence is there. You need a better receiver.
I like Xavier Leggett out of the draft too. He's a good player.
On almost every play, passing
hands,
play,
though, man.
Almost every. First of all, there's a lot of motion, right? So it's a lot of coverage declarations. Declares a lot of coverage declarations, right? So they make you declare what your coverage is via motion. That's the first thing that he does. So as you guys go back and watch film of Carolina, look how often guys are in motion. Look at the guys that are in motion, right? Look at exactly how the defense has to adjust and the information that conveys to Bryce Young. Right, I don't care, young quarterback, old quarterback. It gives you a ton of information when you start sending guys in motion. The leverage that they are able to create by going in these motions, right? Where are these guys going? Are they inserting or are they going outside of the receivers that are lined up in the slot? And then typically there's always going to be somebody at all three levels. Mm-hmm. These are not routes that are called. These aren't concepts that are called simply because, okay, we need to get 7 yards. Like they have somebody for 7 yards. They have somebody for 14 yards. They have somebody for the home run shot. Almost on every play, you can go back and look and see there is a home run shot on almost every one. And he has it literally layered. I mean, it's a doggone 7 up 3-layer cake. All right, it's just, and you watching it, it's like crap. He got wheel routes on almost everything. He has deep posts and deep and goals on almost everything. It's pretty doggone sick because as a defense, you can't relax. You can't get focused. You can't get so enamored by the down and distance that you're playing downhill because somebody will literally sneak out of your peripheral and be open for a touchdown, potential touchdown like you just saw, what you just talked about. So when you watch film, just look at it. Just instead of zooming in on where the ball goes, zoom out and look at where it could have went, and you will open your eyes and you'll be like, "Oh crap!"
One thing that I noticed when I was watching the last several games with Bryce Young at the helm, not when the Red Rifle was in, but I expected going in that considering how impactful Chuba Hubbard is and the fact you just gave him a new contract and everything, that they would play more off of him as far as the play action in the passing game. But I noticed on film there was not a ton of play action. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is...
And he's not a receiving threat at all.
Yeah, I was like, maybe this is an aberration for this game that I'm watching. But then I went and I looked at, shouts out to Next Gen Stats, and the numbers bear out what the film was hinting at. So surprisingly enough, the Carolina Panthers and David Canales, they only run play action 21-ish% of the time on his dropbacks. So that's something that the Cowboys won't have to account for. But what it tells me is that one of the reasons Canales has been able to unlock Bryce Young for the most part, he understands he's a young quarterback. And one of Bryce Young's biggest issues when he first came into the league and as a rookie was he wasn't processing quickly enough, right? So when you take the play action out of the equation, it allows your young quarterback to get right into his reads immediately, as opposed to play action, you turn around and now you're worried about pressure coming. So there's not going to be a lot of play action. Well, I should say they trend to not want to run a lot of play action. 72% of the time, they just give him a straight drop back. Right. Cowboys will have opportunities to get pressure on him, and if they do that, and they can get to him and knock him off the spot, this isn't Joe Burrow. If you knock Bryce Young off the spot, you just won that rep. Yeah. Right. 100%. So do it. That works in the Cowboys' favor, but it's interesting to me. But it does go to what Isaiah's saying as far as explaining why Bryce Young is starting to do better. Mm-hmm. Because again, Canales, he's looking at his young quarterback who had trouble with getting to his reads quickly, and he took the play action out of the equation for the most part.
And it gives his offensive line
now he's just
a break too. The offensive line doesn't have to set up for as long. They don't have to hold their blocks for as long. And the whole play design is based off of these levels that Isaiah is talking about. And I'm looking at the game-winning play. I went back and looked at it, just like play concept-wise. There wasn't any motion there. Like, no motion on this play. It was all set. And it's just levels. That's all it is. You had Leggett wide open. He beat who is this? Bradbury on the outside. There was no safety help over the top because the safety was worried about Thielen on the opposite side, and then there was a guy in the middle of the hash marks, and then there was a guy right at the line of scrimmage on kind of a drag route over the middle. So levels, and you have to sort through it perfectly, or else something like that happens. And that was a hell of a throw from Bryce Young, by the way.
And to Kyle's point about Thielen, I mean, I think Canales loves the fact of having a guy like Thielen.
He's versatile.
Exactly that. He's versatile. He can do anything on the field.
He's a wide receiver, like a big wide receiver.
However, this week he has to go up against Jordan Lewis. And I like that.
I like that matchup.
I like that matchup.
I like it a lot.
Exactly that, man. Because that's a guy similar in size, I'm pretty sure, that can eliminate Adam Thielen from doing all of the different concepts.
And Oklahoma drills, too.
And Oklahoma drills, too.
Speaking
I mean, if we had Patrik out there, he could cover Adam Thielen, no problem.
Yeah,
and just
easy.
By proxy, just
because he would beat Jordan Lewis in the Oklahoma drill.
Exactly.
Well, we spoke with Jordan Lewis.
We did.
Josh and I.
But Patrick's on IR. He can't play this.
I know.
He's got 3 more games.
But
left.
just so
we
you
actually
know,
went up to Jordan Lewis
and
at lunch.
Jordan Lewis did say, he said, of course, he's a competitor. He's going to try to keep me 10 out of 10. He's going to try to knock me out 10 out of 10. But he conceded that he may not win all 10.
That's
straight from the mouth. No.
That's Jordan Lewis trying to be nice.
He was being really
He looked
nice.
at your arm and was like, yeah, you know.
No.
Hey, real quick, I know we got to take another break. Hey, I want people to understand this is not the same Carolina Panthers from the first half of the season.
It's
not.
Okay, I know there's been a stigma and a whole storyline about the Carolina Panthers and blah, 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 blah.
1-7.
Listen, since their bye week in week 11, okay, they faced the Kansas City Chiefs,
And almost
defending
beat them.
champs, right?
They were
back-to-back
right there.
champs?
If not for the power of Satan.
Back-to-back champs, right? Okay. Lost by 3.
Yep. Almost
Took them to the should have won.
Yeah.
Then they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Crap, man. How you going to play Kansas City and then Tampa Bay? Lost by 3.
Tampa Bay with Mike Evans back, by the way.
Yeah, lost by 3. Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. If that's not bad enough. Then they played the Philadelphia Eagles.
And almost took him.
These are 3 playoff teams, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And almost took them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lost by 6.
Yeah.
So their last 3 games, they have faced 3. They faced the defending champs. They face another team that's been in the conversation, right? Then they face another team that might be in that conversation this year. And they've lost by a total of 3, 6, and 6. What was that?
12
points.
Yep.
3 games.
They're playing well, man.
And their defense is, and we'll talk about this.
But they
tomorrow,
have
their
not
defense
played.
is better than the Bengals' defense, and you could only muster 20 points against a historically bad Bengals defense.
Don't do that. You're a jerk.
Yeah, it's
You're
true.
a jerk.
We'll talk about it tomorrow, though. We'll talk about it with
You want
QB Vision
the
tomorrow.
science, or you don't want the
Yeah,
science?
is the science? Is the science?
You want the science? You don't want the
You,
science.
sir, are a jerk.
More Talking Cowboys coming up right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Back here on Talkin Cowboys, this segment of the show is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
Alongside Isaiah Stanback, Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Youmans. Glad you're with us. Yeah, not the same Carolina Panthers team this time around, gentlemen.
Not quite.
And they're losing. They've lost 3 straight. They're desperate to try and find their winning ways again. Cowboys are a little down. I think it's tough. There's a lot of things you're going to have to do right. But just my overarching thought process around this game is you cannot let the Bengals game beat you twice.
No.
Yeah.
And you saw exactly how that could play out after the Amani Oruwariye special teams blunder, and we talked about the drive afterwards and how easy it was for Cincinnati to drive down the field. That could very easily, if you don't have, they're back on the practice field today. If you don't have a great week of preparation, great week of practice, and put all that behind you, Carolina Panthers are going to beat you this week. Plain and simple.
Yep.
You cannot let that game beat you twice, and it's going to be tough to do that. Even I hosted an event last night with Micah and talking with Micah, and he's still beating himself up about it. And himself, and really he's one of the best motivators that you'll ever talk to. And he is all about the motivation. He's going to be right back after it again starting today. But yesterday it was just kind of a mourning period. But you cannot let it pass over into today.
Definitely
at this
not.
point.
And if you don't think that the Carolina Panthers are motivated,
we call them the Caroliners.
The Caroliners.
That actually worked. That worked.
I know, right?
That worked.
If you don't think they're motivated to beat the Dallas Cowboys this week, just think back to last year where we, beat them pretty soundly. But not only that, but we held a press conference right before that game in Carolina to announce that Jimmy Johnson is going to be inducted to the Ring of Honor.
We cut into TV time with the announcement.
Press conference
in Carolina.
Kickoff. God, that was nightmare.
In Carolina.
Half of the press box was empty because of
this.
No, we were here. We were here. Remember, we were watching with Nate in the back.
That's right.
And they had the surprise announcement of the Jimmy Johnson thing. It completely hijacked the entire day. The whole day.
It hijacked
sidelines, the game, the everything.
Listen, as a beat writer, let me tell you, that was logistically a nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm
glad you brought that up.
They remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
They remember. And they had beef with Nick Eatman, too, by the way. Behind the scenes.
Ask him on storyline.
Ask him on storyline what the beef was in Carolina, because he's about to go find that dude again. And they are not happy. I wouldn't be happy if I were them. They're going to be motivated to
listen. Bryce Young is playing confident and good football. Chuba Hubbard is doing his thing. You got Leggett, you got Thielen. Canales has those guys believing in themselves on both sides of the ball, and they're going to be at Bank of America Stadium. The Panthers crowd is starting to kind of buy in, starting to believe. They've been desperate to feel something good, and even in a down season that's just wrecked by adversity, every team would still look at a win over the Cowboys as a big deal.
Yeah.
And the Panthers will look at, if they can get this win against the Cowboys, they will use it as a big deal. So mentally, no, it's not the same as beating the Eagles if they would have last week, or the Bucs if they would have, or the Kansas City Chiefs if they would have escaped with that win. But psychologically speaking, it's going to feel just as good for the Panthers to do it if they can do it. So if you're the Cowboys, like Kyle said, especially on a short week, which makes it that much more difficult to turn the page from such an emotionally shattering loss like you had against the Bengals, because you just said you had the one-on-one with Micah yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Panthers game is right around the corner. It's right there. Yep. And Tuesday night, Micah was still hurting.
Yeah.
Right, so
it was a player's day off. They haven't hit the field again.
Is
yet.
that, but also with the? I mean, I don't want to keep bringing up injury to Demo, but that takes that hurts. That hurts.
Yes,
it's significant, and let's call it what it is. Some players have more impact on a locker room than others, and he has a tremendous respect in his locker room.
Yes.
And people understand not only his energy, they understand his aura, right? His character, his resilience, his work ethic that he had to come back from last year's injury, and then the impact that he had and the attitude that he had and the swag and everything that he brought by being on the field this year, just to have it taken away again. People feel that. It's very deflating, and it's very hard to overcome as a locker room.
Just to add to that point, if you were to name the 5 most impactful players, leaders in the Cowboys locker room right now.
He's top 3, man.
So he's up there.
Yeah, for me.
Who's the other guys out of those 4?
Dak,
and
Tank,
Zach Martin, Tank Lawrence.
Tank, Micah. Well, okay.
I would throw Micah in there.
This version of Micah.
But
yes.
but there's 5 names right there.
Demo,
And Demo. 4 of those guys are out and have not returned yet. Of course, D-Law's on his way back. But 4 of those guys, 5, the only one is Micah, and he missed significant time too. I mean, that's the type of season that it's been. Not to make excuses, but it still is. It's crazy the amount of injuries have ravaged this locker room.
But to your point, I mean, and this is poignant because last year a lot of the conversation is Micah Parsons a leader? You're going to see it in the last few games of this season.
I think we've already seen it.
That's why I said this version.
You already see it
Micah.
now, but now he has nobody else. He's got CD on the other side, but it's like this is your leader. This is your definitive leader on defense.
This is the biggest test for him.
Absolutely.
For Micah?
Yeah, I'm not going to just hand him the leadership badge in these last games. Because I truly think if you really want to know, right, I'm not questioning the man's character. I'm just saying that I'm watching. For those that have, I'm watching. I'm watching to see how he handles the remainder of this season. Because even when I was on NFL Network, people were talking about, Micah and how he was reacting. I'm like, no. You were getting playoff Micah in that last game.
Yeah.
That was playoff Micah.
I completely agree.
That was playoff Micah which is why he walked off like that. That's why you saw his reaction like that, because he was doing literally everything that he could to impact that game because they knew that was most likely their last chance to make the playoffs. If they won that game, they were still in the picture. If they lost that game, pretty much out the picture. Yeah. So you got every ounce, and for that to not be enough, that's the reaction that you get. So now that your playoff hopes are pretty much gone, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you to the locker room? Even more so now because of the fact that the other leaders are out the picture.
Yep.
You're the guy that's on the field. How are you now going to react? Are you going to just go out there and just kind of go through the motions? Or are you going to step up and demand excellence from everybody? I'm watching.
Yeah.
Got me ready to run through a wall, my friend. I'm ready to go.
No, I think that's a great point because, and I would argue you've already seen that a couple times. Like you said, you saw playoff Micah last week. I think you've seen playoff Micah the last couple of weeks, going back before Thanksgiving and that game against Washington.
Return, basically.
Really, the game against Washington was the first time I stepped up and said, okay, that's the Micah we've been waiting to see. Not just from a sack standpoint. He's always had production and effort. He's always there.
That was Waterboy Micah last week.
He was all over it.
I'll tell you when it began for me. It began for me in training camp when I started to see how he was taking Mozzie Smith under his wing and challenging Mozzie Smith. And even when the cameras weren't on and the mics weren't on, you would see he and Mozzie Smith running drills between practices and things like that, and him correcting Mozzie, like little things that the media is not paying attention to because it wasn't during the media portion of practice or whatever. And maybe I'm just out there and I'm just watching in Oxnard or whatever.
We're there.
Yeah, we're there. So that's when it really started to kind of click in my head. And I was like, wait a minute. I think this version of Micah that we're about to see in 2024 is going to be different. And here we are. Fast forward to now. But like you said,
that's when hope is on the.
Here's the biggest test for him.
Yeah, this is the biggest test
right now. Here's the biggest test because right now, with who's on IR and who's not coming back, right now it's your team. 11.
It's what are you playing for? When there's nothing
11.
to play for, who are you? Yeah. And that's why I say this is the biggest test because when you have the potential of the playoffs and the potential of still getting a ring and all that stuff out there is different. It's different than when there's no hope for any of that stuff. Now who are you?
Right. Yeah.
Right now, who are you?
Now you got to get them to play for pride and just to.
I'm watching.
Because, it's still 4 games. Now, we talked about this versus team tank, right? The reason players don't tank is because now you only have 4 more games to put good on film. Right, a lot of these players, because this is a game of attrition, a lot of these players, not a lot, but several of these players the fact is they will not be in a Cowboys uniform next year.
Part of it.
Yeah, that's part of it, which means they're also interviewing for the other 31 teams as well. Yeah. So,
but he's not.
No, he's not. What I'm saying is this is the type of motivational messages. You look at the locker room, if you're Micah, you say, hey, go out on your shield. Go out on your shield. So I love what Isaiah is saying. This is the biggest test of leadership for Micah Parsons. And you hate how it arrived, but it's here, and the timing of it is wildly ironic considering what's about to happen in the offseason as far as the beginning of his contract talks.
Yeah, definitely going to be a case and a talking point going into it. All right, tomorrow we preview the Cowboys offense versus that Carolina Panthers defense. Like Patrick said earlier, this defense is better than what Cincinnati brought to the table. Can the Cowboys find a little bit more success on the offensive side? We'll be back tomorrow with more 9 a.m. Central Time live on DallasCowboys.com. For Chris Beam, Isaiah Stanback, Patrick Walker, Josh Rodriguez, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long from Talkin Cowboys. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!